He has brought millions. I wouldn't be surprised if it's billions of eyes onto the W and onto women's sports. Mm-hmm. She is a Kobe Bryant. And that's how Diana was. That's how Sue was. Like, we've had these types of people, but this is just bigger because the media platform is bigger than it ever has been. I don't have an ego, so I'm able to just tell the truth. Like, if it was someone else, I'd be like, yeah, like Angel Reese, she's also brought millions of fans. You know what I mean? I think Caitlyn has brought way more, but I also think she has too. Like, I'm just not naive, and I might be blonde, but I'm not fucking dumb. People who say I'm a clout chaser, no, I'm just being honest about why the league is where it is at. Give the girls the flowers, like give it to them.
If it wasn't for Sophie Cunningham's podcast, I never would have had this eureka moment. Sophie Cunningham came to the Indiana Fever in the offseason. She's been taking full advantage of every opportunity she's got. An opportunity on the court, balling. An opportunity to protect Caitlin Clark, did that. Off the court, endorsement deals. Off the court, advertisers are falling in love with her. We got Colin Cowherd saying, hey, Sophie, you want your own podcast? Sophie Cunningham says, sure, I'll take my own podcast. And what has Sophie Cunningham been doing on this podcast? Letting us in on some secrets? Yeah, I love that. Pulling back the curtain on some time? Yeah, I love that.
What happens when the only player brave enough to tell the truth about the WNBA finally calls out the entire system? When someone from the inside decides to say out loud what fans have been whispering for months in comments, forums, and post-game debates. That moment has arrived, and it didn't come from a rookie, a superstar, or a retired veteran with nothing to lose. It came from Sophie Cunningham, a player who has spent years earning respect the hard way. A player who knows the politics, the jealousy, the dirty tricks of the league, and chose to ignore all of it just to stand on one side, the truth. Her defense of Caitlin Clark isn't just another teammate sticking up for a star. It's not sugarcoating, it's not PR polish, and it's definitely not the empty praise that disappears when the cameras turn off. This is different. This is a brutal, unfiltered reality check for an entire league that seems determined to sabotage the very phenomenon keeping it alive. Because Sophie understands something most of the league doesn't want to admit. Caitlin Clark isn't just another promising guard. She isn't just a rookie with hype. She is the turning point. The kind of once-in-a-generation force who doesn't just play the game. She rewrites the rulebook, changes the culture, and drags the entire sport into a new era whether the league is ready or not. And instead of embracing her, the WNBA seems terrified of her, which is exactly why Sophie stepped in. Fearless, unfiltered, and fully aware that the truth was about to rattle the system. Sophie Cunningham has always been blunt. She's never been the type to sugarcoat or play politics. She doesn't hide behind PR soundbites, polished interviews, or fake smiles for the cameras. She says what she thinks, and for years that honesty made her stand out, sometimes as a villain, sometimes as a fan favorite. But this time, it made her something else entirely, the only voice inside the league willing to tell the truth. When Sophie sat down on her podcast and said Caitlin Clark brought millions, maybe even billions, of eyes to women's basketball, it wasn't an exaggeration. It wasn't hype. It was cold, undeniable fact. Because every stat, every sold-out arena, every TV rating spike proves her right. And to drive the point home, she compared Clark to Kobe Bryant, not in playing style, but in impact. Kobe wasn't just an athlete. He was a cultural force. And Sophie was telling the world that Caitlin Clark is that same kind of force for the WNBA. Now here's the thing. Sophie wasn't saying this to chase headlines or to stir controversy. She made that clear when she laughed and said, I might be blonde, but I'm not DMN dumb. That wasn't a joke, it was a warning. She knows exactly how the game works, both on the court and off it. And she wasn't going to sit back while jealousy drowned out reality. Yes, she gave Angel Reese her flowers too. She acknowledged Reese's power, her magnetism, her ability to bring in fans.
The Fever saw it coming. They went and got Sophie Cunningham, 6-year-old black belt. This is what the Bulls did with Charles Oakley to protect Michael Jordan. And I said this last year several times. The WNBA is not a vertical league. Their players can't jump over each other to score like the NBA. It's a horizontal chippy league. And you didn't watch the NBA for the last 10 to 12 years. It has always been physical and always been chippy. You get into a lot of collisions because there's no Ja Morant here. There's no Ant Edwards. They don't jump over. It's a horizontal physical league. And in Caitlin Clark now is like kerosene to the physicality flame. So you have physicality in this league, and now you get this flashy player, and they don't know how to officiate her. They don't know how to.
But Sophie didn't hesitate to draw the line. Caitlyn's impact, she said, operates on another planet entirely. While others stayed quiet, bitter, or even hostile, Sophie demanded that the league give Clark the respect she had already earned. Her message was simple: give the girls their flowers. They deserve it. But what made it powerful wasn't just the words. It was the fact that they came from Sophie, someone who had been saying this long before it was trendy, long before it was safe, long before the numbers made it undeniable. She saw the wave coming before anyone else, and now that it's here, she refuses to let the league bury it under jealousy. Here's the crazy part. Sophie's praise didn't begin when Caitlyn was breaking records or selling out arenas. It started way earlier, when most of the league was trying to tear Clark down. Remember the All-Star voting fiasco? WNBA players ranked Clark only the 9th best guard, despite fans flooding the polls with more than 1.2 million votes in her favor. 9th best. That wasn't about basketball ability. That was about ego. Behind closed doors, it was even uglier. Sophie revealed that when she was with the Phoenix Mercury, players openly talked about showing Clark what the W really is. It wasn't rookie hazing. It was a coordinated effort to humble a player who had done nothing wrong except shine too brightly too fast. While her teammates whispered, Sophie spoke up. While others downplayed Clark's rise, she called her a gem and said she'd love to play alongside her. She recognized the Caitlyn Clark effect before the numbers proved it, and that honesty set her apart. Then came the moment that made Sophie Cunningham a household name. Late in a game, Caitlyn Clark got poked in the eye by J.C. Sheldon, shoved to the floor by Marina Mabrey, and somehow she was the one hit with a technical foul. It was the perfect snapshot of everything wrong with the WNBA. Most players would have shrugged and walked away. Sophie didn't. With less than a minute left, she sent her own message, dragging Sheldon to the floor in a move that made it very clear: if the league won't protect Caitlyn, I will. Within 24 hours, Sophie's following exploded. Hundreds of thousands of fans poured onto her social media. By the end of the week, she had crossed over 1 million followers. This wasn't just about going viral. It was vindication. People weren't just cheering Sophie's toughness. They were celebrating the fact that finally, someone had done what the WNBA itself refused to do: defend the player who was saving them. If the on-court fireworks turned heads, Sophie's podcast detonated the bomb. Thanks to Colin Cowherd, she launched her own platform, and she didn't waste a second pulling back the curtain. She exposed the toxic culture of jealousy, revealed how referees weaponize fines to silence players, and flat out said what others only dared to think: Caitlyn Clark is being targeted.
This new little wave of
They are, but I
rookies.
just hate that because, like, this is what we've always wanted as a league. So, like, who cares who gets the credit? And if you're smart, you're making money off of them.
Yeah.
Like, you are literally making money from the viewership.
And what she made the chirp was about how she didn't help plan the fucking
Who cares?
shirts.
Like, who
Yeah.
cares? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I just hate when, like, people do stuff to get, it's like clickbait.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and there's so much clickbait, especially surrounding Caitlyn.
Of
And so,
course.
like, it's just like, just be nice. Like, why
Yeah.
can't people just be nice?
Yeah.
That's what I don't, coming from the girl who
I was just saying we just
drug
talked for 2
someone
hours about how
down.
you fucking beat someone up.
just be nice. It's not that hard.
The league doesn't know how to handle her, doesn't know how to officiate her, and doesn't even seem to want her success. Other players kept quiet because they couldn't risk losing money. Sophie? She wrote the check. Every time the league fined her for speaking up, she paid it and doubled down. That's when fans realized she wasn't doing this for attention. She was doing it because someone had to. And then the numbers came rolling in, proving Sophie right. Clark's games averaged 1.178 million viewers, compared to less than 400,000 for other WNBA matchups. Her presence forced arenas to expand, cities to move games into larger venues, and teams to sell out tickets for the first time in decades. She became not just the face of the league, but the savior of it. Sophie saw it before anyone else. She understood that Clark wasn't a threat to veterans. She was a lifeline. As she put it, if you're smart, you make money off her. You don't tear her down. But instead of celebrating, the WNBA doubled down on dysfunction. While the NBA has always protected its stars, Jordan, LeBron, Curry, the WNBA turned Clark into a punching bag. Hard fouls went unchecked, targeting was ignored, and the referees often punished her for reacting. Sophie compared the league to kerosene poured on a flame. Physical, horizontal, chippy basketball had always been there, but Clark's flash and spotlight made it explode. Instead of learning how to adapt, the league allowed bitterness to fester. Sophie called it out plainly. It wasn't competition anymore. It was sabotage. But here's what separates Sophie even more. She didn't just protect Clark physically. She protected her value. Endorsement deals came flying her way. Ring, podcast sponsorships, fresh partnerships that dwarfed her WNBA salary. Within weeks, she was making more off the court than she ever did on it. The message was undeniable. Integrity sells. Courage sells. Fans, brands, and media rewarded Sophie for standing up while others hid in silence. And suddenly, the WNBA's most outspoken defender had become one of its most marketable stars. Now the league stands at a crossroads. Sophie put it bluntly. It pisses me off when people say she's not the face of the league. What? Without her, we wouldn't even be here. She's right. The numbers don't lie. The cultural shift is obvious. Caitlin Clark isn't just another great player. She is the player who changed everything. And Sophie knows it. The WNBA has two choices: protect their golden goose and build a sustainable future, or keep enabling jealousy and watch it all collapse. Sophie has already chosen her side. She's riding with Clark, defending excellence, and fighting for a bigger vision of women's basketball. The question isn't where Sophie stands anymore. The question is whether the WNBA will finally wake up or commit the most unthinkable act of self-destruction in sports history.
She has changed our game in the best possible way in every way. And so just to be alongside of her and maybe relieve the pressure, being able to shoot and spread the court for her to go do her thing. She's still young, and I think that I've been taken under, Diana took me under her wing, and I've learned a lot from her. And now I hope to kind of do the same for Caitlin if she wants it. I just think the relationship piece is huge. And when you're trying to do something great, it takes everybody. And so I want her to go do her thing, and anything she needs from me, I'm going to be here. But again, I think that just the competitor that I am, I'm fierce, I'm sassy. I stick up for my teammates, I stick up for